Welcome to the Taste Test channel, and in this video we'll be taking an impartial look at popular hot chocolate drinks from all around the world to discover how some of the best-selling and iconic varieties around the globe differ in taste. In our lineup today we have the Aztec-inspired drink from where it all began, Abuelita Para Mesa of Mexico, globally popular super brand Cadbury from the UK, the oldest continuously family-owned chocolatiers in the US, Guittard, the most famous hot chocolate in all of Paris, Angelina of France, from the country responsible for bringing chocolate to the wider world, Barco Delice from Spain, and finally, Scandinavia's favourite chocolate drink, Oh Boy from Sweden. As always, just for fun, we'll be awarding our Taste Test Channel Best in Class award to the winner, and if you're new to the channel, we'd love you to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you can join us for our regular taste tests. And by the way, look out for our upcoming fun food quizzes to test your gastronomic knowledge. So firstly, chocolate in drinking form has a longer history than you might expect, and certainly predates solid chocolate by millennia. It's thought to have first been consumed 2,000 to 3,000 years ago by the Mayans, who occupied the areas known today as Mexico and Central America, and it went on to also become a key part of Aztec culture. Originally, it was neither hot nor sweet. Cocoa seeds were ground into a paste and mixed with water, cornmeal and chili among other things, and then poured from cup to pot and back to create a froth. It was so important in Mayan culture that people were often buried with the vessels they drank it from, and the Aztecs used it as currency. When the Spanish had their, let's just say, less than polite exchange with the Aztecs in the 1500s, they took the drink back to Europe, and it gained popularity there among the elite, eventually being sweetened. It wasn't until 1847, by the way, that the first chocolate bar was invented. Today, hot chocolate drinks are consumed all around the world, but in many different forms, ranging from the spicy in Latin America, to very thick in Spain and Italy, to the thinner cacos in the US and UK, etc. As such, there really is loads out there to choose from, but as always, our lineup today includes some of the most popular and iconic from around the globe. Price-wise, there's quite a bit of variation here. We've got standard pantry items through to globally renowned luxury. But as we've seen before, that doesn't always translate to the best taste. You can see the price I paid per 100 grams is shown below. As you can see, Angelina from Paris was by far the most expensive, and Cadbury of the UK was the cheapest. Angelina, by the way, is actually even pricier than it looks here. Based on how much mixture you have to use, this whole pot, costing £21, is actually only enough for around 4 cups, whereas Cadbury, for example, will make you 33. Meaning Angelina is actually 41 times more expensive per cup. But is it 41 times better? We'll have to see. Nutritional wise, we're talking hot chocolate, not slimming drinks, so moderation is key. Hence the notice on this Mexican drink, exceso calorías. But it's by no means the most excessive one here. The chart below lists the brands from top to bottom in energy content per cup. That's based on each being prepared according to packet instructions and includes 200 ml of semi-skimmed milk. As you can see, Angelina from France has by far the most energy, no doubt because you have to use about 1/4 of the tin for each cup, while Guittard has the lowest, using just a tablespoon of mixture. Fat content has Angelina way out in front with over 30 grams of fat per cup, while Oh Boy of Sweden has the least. No prizes for guessing that Angelina also has the highest sugar, with Guittard having the lowest. And salt or sodium has the French beverage topping the chart again, while Abuelita and Guittard only have the salt that's naturally contained in the milk you pour in it. But how will all of this affect the taste? Well, that's what I plan to find out. So we'll start our test quite rightly with the chocolate drink from the area where it all started, Mexico, and their Abuelita Chocolate Para Mesa, meaning table chocolate. In 1919, the Mexican Gonzalez brothers opened Fábrica de Chocolates Azteca, the Aztec chocolate factory. Within 20 years, it was the leading chocolate maker in Mexico, and it was then they created this signature drink. Abuelita, which means grandma, has literally become part of Mexican culture, enjoyed by countless families ever since, particularly during Christmas and holidays. And if you're feeling really brave, you can even use it to make mole poblano, a traditional thick Mexican sauce for meats and chicken. Today it's owned by Nestle and can be found all around the world. In true Aztec tradition, the drink is spiced, not with chili but with cinnamon and vanilla. The lady on the pack, by the way, is Sara Garcia, the grandmother of Mexican cinema. So as always, we're going to open all the packs first so we can compare them visually side by side, and then we'll move on to the tasting. So let's open up the pack. And these come in tablet form, 6 tablets in a pack, quite nicely wrapped, and each tablet is enough for a litre of chocolate, so 4 or 5 cups. As you can see, very dark and quite rough and gritty. It reminds me of pictures of chocolates from the 1800s before it was refined and conched. The aroma is unexpected though, not chocolatey at all. Strong, spicy, and a bit odd. Believe it or not, it reminds me of dry dog biscuits. But we'll find out how it actually tastes after we've opened the others. Next, global super brand Cadbury of the UK, who, although best known for their bars, actually spent their first 25 years purely producing drinking chocolate. It all started with Quaker John Cadbury in 1824, who sold tea, coffee and hot chocolate with a mission to provide alternatives to alcohol. His chocolate drinks were made by hand using pestle and mortar, and they became so popular that within 7 years he'd opened a factory to keep up with demand. By the 1880s, John's sons were running the business, and George Cadbury created their famous industrial garden village, Bourneville Green, a safe and unpolluted area for employees to live and work, of which he famously said, "No man ought to be condemned to live where a rose cannot grow." They remained a pinnacle of benevolent employee practice for decades. Today, Cadbury is the second largest confectioner in the world and is now owned by American Mondelez International. This tub is their original variety. So let's take a look inside and serve some out. So a very fine powdery dust for this one, and the aroma's not nearly as strong as the Mexican brand, but it's sweet and cocoa-y. Next, from the oldest continuously family-owned chocolatiers in the US, Guittard. The company started in 1868 by Frenchman Etienne Guittard. Etienne had actually travelled to America to seek his fortune in the gold rush, only to discover that the chocolates he'd brought with him for trading were producing far more gold than his mining endeavours. After perfecting his skills back in France, his small shop on the San Francisco waterfront was opened, selling chocolates, coffee, tea and spices. Still owned by the Guittard family today, the brand's particularly popular with food professionals and pastry chefs. Contents include vanilla beans and Dutch processed cocoa, which means it's alkalized to reduce acidity. Their Grand Cocoa hot chocolate is described as the kind that people enjoyed in the 1920s, so by jingo, I'm looking forward to trying it. So let's open up the pot and take a closer look. So darker and powdery, with some clumps, very much like cocoa powder in fact. And the aroma is much deeper, richer and chocolatey. And I'll be intrigued to see just how chocolatey in the tasting section. Next, world-renowned hot chocolate Angelina from Paris, France. Angelina is actually a Parisian tea room, but people queue daily for hours just to try this famous hot chocolate. So I'm very pleased to be trying it today without the queues. It was the creation of Austrian-born confectioner Antoine Rumpelmayer, who opened the tea room in 1903. Located close to the Louvre Museum, it soon became the place to be seen, with aristocracy, celebrities and, aptly, Coco Chanel said to have frequented its doors. The drink is a blend of 3 selected African cocos, but the exact recipe is, of course, a closely guarded secret. Today, you'll find Angelina tea salons in a few choice locations, New York, Dubai, Beijing, but it's undoubtedly the most famous spot in Paris for a chocolate drink. Ooh la la! So let's open it up and serve some out. So not as dark as the last one, but a larger grain and more of a gritty texture. The aroma is chocolatey but not as rich as Guittard, more cocoa butter and creamy notes. I'll be very curious to try it. Next, from the country responsible for bringing chocolate to the wider world, El Barco Delice of Spain, where it's known as Cacao a la Taza, meaning cocoa to the cup. When the Spanish conquistadors brought the Aztecs' drink of the gods back to Spain in the 1500s, it became the official drink of kings, and the addition of sugar and heat meant it's been beloved there ever since. Even today, it's said the Spanish prefer drinking chocolate to eating bars of it. But Spanish hot chocolate is very distinct in that it's served very thick and often eaten with a spoon or dipped into with churros or fried bread. Barco Delice is a traditional chocolatier founded in 1905 and still using an original recipe from the 1800s. Their website says, "The passion for chocolate is great and there are no reasons to hide it. It's not a vice nor a defect, but a proof of exquisiteness and good taste." And who am I to argue? Contents includes vanilla, cinnamon and also corn flour. So let's see what it's like. I love this tin, by the way, really traditional looking. So quite a bit paler and floury. It kind of looks like there's corn flour mixed into it. The aroma is much weaker too. I can't detect any cinnamon, just lightly sweet and subtle cocoa. Finally, Scandinavia's favourite chocolate drink, O'boy, from Sweden. O'boy's been around since 1960 and is a veritable Swedish icon. Not limited to Sweden, however, you'll find it in most pantries from Finland to Norway and through to southern Denmark. And with such cold winters, there's no wonder that a rich, warming and chocolatey drink is so appealing. In fact, almost 2 million servings of O'boy are drunk per day, though it's not uncommon to also serve it cold. Like Cadbury, this brand is also now owned by Mondelez International, but still made in Sweden. Flavourings include vanilla. So let's open up the pack and take a closer look. So not unlike the last one, El Barco in texture, a little browner and a similar aroma too, but with more milky cocoa tones. But we'll see how it actually tastes in just a moment. So looking at them all now side by side always makes the differences much more obvious. Clearly Mexican Abuelita is the most unique in format, but we can also see how much darker the American Guittard is, with El Barco Delice of Spain being the palest. Cadbury's has the most finely ground texture, like a dusty powder, while French Angelina is much grittier looking, like fine grated chocolate. But with all that said, I am now more than ready to discover just how much they're going to vary in taste. So we'll need a cup of Abuelita, Cadbury's, Guittard, Angelina, El Barco Delice and O'boy. I've made them all exactly as per packet instructions, by the way, and using semi-skimmed milk. So let's move on to the tasting. And we'll start with Abuelita from Mexico. By the way, despite grinding the bar and persistent whisking, it didn't entirely want to melt. You can see a bit of sediment there. So firstly, none of the weird smell from before it was heated. In fact, the first thing that hits you is a wave of fragrant cinnamon. Lovely. It keeps its foam, but it's as thin as the milk you put in it. No grittiness and a clean finish. Very sweet, a bit too much for me, and more cinnamon than cocoa. The chocolate notes are there, but secondary. In summary, very unique, aromatic, a bit on the sweet side, but very pleasant and well worth trying. Next, we'll try global brand Cadbury of the UK. So it doesn't overly want to keep its froth, which is normal with a lower fat content. It's thin and again very sweet, only a tad less so than the last one. Flavour-wise, it's sugar and cocoa, nothing else going on, but despite that, it's only low to medium chocolatey. And if you used more mixture, it would be too sweet for sure. In short, mild and easy drinking, but nothing exceptional. Next, we'll try Guittard from the USA. So a bit more foam staying in this one. And this is more like it, much more chocolatey. Stronger, darker, far more cocoa notes, but the good thing is not at all bitter or acidic, which you can get with stronger cocos. Medium sweet, more than enough, but less invasive than the last two. And again, as thin as the milk you put in it, but some powdery residue in the finish. To conclude, deep, rich cocoa notes and very drinkable. Next, the famous Parisian Angelina of France, and I've been really looking forward to trying this one. So a pouring consistency like single cream. And wow, with even the first sip, it feels mega indulgent, thick, silky and strong. It's literally like drinking melted chocolate. But, and this is a big disappointment here, it is insanely sweet, like off the chart, the sweetest yet. It's like liquid fudge or chocolate sugar. I feel a coronary coming on. For interest's sake, I just made another cup of this at half strength. It's much more palatable but still way too sweet, with a strong and slightly dry cocoa finish. In short, quality chocolate, totally indulgent, but it could have been perfection if they removed about 60% of the sugar. Next we'll try our Barco Delice from Spain. So you can see straight away how thick this is, and the mouthfeel is smooth and custardy, and notably cooler. It doesn't retain the heat as much. It's less sweet, but sweet enough, and the taste is not so much chocolate as cocoa flavour, like a mousse or blancmange, with that slightly whipped or starchy feel that tends to dial flavour down. I can't detect the cinnamon, by the way, so it must be subtle. To sum up, this is like a chocolate flavour pudding or custard, inoffensive, and I can see why people dip churros in it. You don't so much want to drink it as eat it with a spoon. Finally, we'll try Scandinavian favourite Oh Boy from Sweden. So again, it loses its foam quite quickly, and it's very reminiscent of the Cadbury's, a thin, mild, sweet cocoa drink, but this has a slightly creamier mouthfeel and fuller flavour. A touch more chocolate notes with a hint of malt that's reminiscent of Ovaltine. It's medium-high sweet, but although having more sugar than Cadbury on paper, it's not as obvious, possibly due to the fuller flavour. In all, easy drinking, and I imagine it would go just as well in cold milk as hot. So that covers how they all differ in taste, and now onto our Taste Test Channel winners and Best in Class award. There was a lot of variation in this lineup, I think. Thin to thick, spicy to chocolatey, and everyday to indulgent, and I would happily choose many of these again at different times, and even mix them together. My absolute perfect hot chocolate though, I'd say is still out there, so do let me know your favourites from around the globe. But our top 3 winners are as follows. Winning 3rd place, Oh Boy of Sweden. Very much an everyday chocolate drink, but its extra flavour and easy drinking put it by just a whisker in 3rd place. Winning 2nd place, Angelina of France. High quality chocolate, intense cocoa and mega indulgent, this should have been an outright winner were it not for the crazy high percentage of sugar, which dominates the taste even when made weaker. Funnily enough, the French contender in our chocolate box taste test was also extremely sweet, so maybe France just really likes their sugar. But in 1st place this week in the popular hot chocolates from around the world, the Taste Test Channel Best in Class award goes to Guittard from the USA. Strong, dark and chocolatey, yet very drinkable and not at all bitter. A lovely evening cocoa for when the nights draw in and the days start getting cooler. My top choice of today's lineup, and a really nice one too. So well done to Guittard of the US. And as always, taste is subjective and this is purely my point of view, but I hope it's given you some useful insights. So I really hope you've enjoyed watching this episode. If you have, do check out the many other food and drink taste tests on our channel page and drop us a comment to let us know your favourites. A massive, massive thank you to everyone who supports us, by the way, whether through Patreon or Super Thanks, or just by taking the time to like, comment or share our videos with fellow food fans. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any of our other taste tests. Meanwhile, thanks for watching and chocs away!